Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris back here with another simulation. This one is of the Miami Hurricanes and the Virginia Cavaliers. Very excited to see how this one turns out. First off, if you like this series, hit the like button, and also if you could help out, please subscribe to the channel and be sure to comment if you guys have comments below. So here we go. Miami and Virginia. This is going to be a very interesting game for the Miami Hurricanes. Coming into the game at 11th in the country. Virginia unranked at 1-3. Has lost 3 in a row. And I think if you're Miami, you're definitely looking at this as a game to really open things up. You want to have a successful game heading into the bye week. And I think that's the biggest thing you want to see. You've had 2 games where obviously the big loss at Clemson, and then against Pittsburgh you get the win, but there were certain things that could have been refined a little bit. And I think that's what you're looking at with this game in particular against Virginia. You'd like to see a little bit more production, a little bit better play on both sides of the ball as you go into that bye week. Miami's coming in 4-1, 3-1 in the conference, so the Virginia game will be that 5th game, that midway point of the ACC 10-game schedule. So here we go. Things I'm looking for in this game, I think it starts with De'Aaron King. You know, you guys have heard me on these simulations and talk about De'Aaron, and I've expected him to have a big game or a big season for Miami. And I think there's been really solid points for him. And there's certainly been flashes why you can see why he's being considered as one of the top quarterbacks in the country and why he had that big season against, for Houston a couple years ago. I just think with De'Aaron, I'm looking for him to have one of those well-rounded games again. He threw the 4 touchdowns last game in the win over Pittsburgh against a tough defense. Everybody knows that, but the 2 interceptions and the completion percentage is not exactly the way he would have liked it. And also running the ball. I'd like for him to get back to just being really productive on both sides of the ball.
So from the 39 now, they'll come up on
the big news this week in practices was head coach Manny Diaz deciding to open things up at wide receiver. Here's De'Aaron.
He's going to take off with it.
And that's a nice run by De'Aaron. And that's what you're looking to see, a nice 20-yard run when he sees an opening, going ahead to hit that hole and showing that speed and picking up yards. That would certainly help his confidence, I think, and also help the offense just move the ball down the field even better. But going back to this week in practice, the big news with Manny Diaz on Monday, on the official depth chart release, Miami lists 9 co-starters at wide receiver. That's as many receivers as they have on the roster. And I think the biggest thing is they really want to challenge those top 3 guys. There's another run by King. And that's the difference with him. You can really pick up yards in the running game. And I think certainly those guys have been challenged. If you guys haven't seen it yet, check my live stream I did earlier this week on just the wide receivers. I broke it down and showed stats and coaches' input and things like that. So check that out if you haven't yet on the channel. If you guys are new to the channel, I do a lot of stuff with interviews and these simulations and different video game series, but a lot of stuff on the team, obviously. So that's why it's helpful to subscribe to the channel. You want to make sure you don't miss out on anything. And De'Aaron King is really getting off. Oh, there's a nice move. So 3 carries, 46 yards on the opening drive for De'Aaron King. I think that'd be great to see in the game. Just get off to that good start. And again, I think the thing with De'Aaron also is I do believe there are better games ahead for him. You're starting to get into game 5 already. This is going to be game 6 overall in the season. You just want to start seeing him really produce at a high level. And obviously with that is the wide receivers as well. So that's Brevin Jordan there, number 9. If I were to guess, I would not expect Brevin to play in the game because they've got the bye week coming up. He's dealing with a shoulder injury. Missed last game. I asked Manny Diaz about that, about his injury in terms of basically he said he's limited. He's been limited with some things. But I said, the next game against NC State after the bye week, would you expect him to play in that one? And he definitely said yes. So I thought that was good in the sense of it doesn't feel like this is a long-term thing for Brevin. And if I were to guess, with the production that Will Mallory's given them at tight end, maybe they feel like they can afford to sit him another week, give him an extra week with the bye week, and then have him ready to go. for that strong second half. It's going to be very big for Miami. Hurricanes still have three current ranked teams on their schedule in that second half of the season. Obviously looking at North Carolina. And then Virginia Tech has had a good season as well so far. And then NC State.
To throw is King. From the gun, he'll throw. This will be caught at about the 5.
Nice catch by Will Mallory. Had 2 touchdowns last week on the 2 catches. He continues to be productive when he is the main tight end in the game. It's been that way. It was like that last year as well. When Brevin was out, Will had 12 catches in 3 games, which led the team at that time, and the most receiving yards during that 3-game span. When Brevin was out clearly for 2 of them, and then 1 game he played just a few snaps. So Miami down inside the red zone, attempting a field goal. I had an article actually on the site earlier this week on InsideTheU.com about how Miami has increased its performance in the red zone on offense and defense, as well as on third downs on offense and defense from where they were a year ago. Certainly a lot of games still to go, but I found it very interesting just that they've increased the production, the performances in all 4 of those categories. I certainly think that's been important for Miami to get off to this 4-1 start. And Coach Diaz, when he responded to my question, he actually mentioned, Jose Borregales is certainly an asset for the team in the red zone. Just knowing you have that opportunity, and probably for third downs even too, just knowing you have him as an asset, that you can run him out there for a field goal if things don't work out. It eases the pressure off just a little bit, with the offense always needing to score touchdowns.
So out comes its offense to take over for the first time.
And we'll get back to the Miami offense when they get the ball back, but I want to talk about Virginia's offense, going with Brendan Armstrong here. And they've been mixing things up. They've got Lindell Stone as well, a lot different quarterback. But looking at Brendan Armstrong, a backup last year, actually wears number 5. It's 10 on this game, but actually wears 5. And they've kind of gone back and forth with Armstrong and Stone and trying to figure out what to do. It definitely feels like just kind of seeing Virginia play this year, just really having a hard time replacing Bryce Perkins from a year ago when they won the Coastal Division. You see right there, Jalen Phillips with a huge play to start it off. And I was getting ready to say that while Virginia, and they've got the biggest thing with Virginia from a year ago is they had a lot of seniors, a lot of guys that played a lot of football last year. And then they just had to replace a lot of those guys. But the offensive line is actually an area where they have a lot of returners. But it didn't matter on that play as Jalen Phillips rips through and gets a sack. And that's the thing that you're hoping to see with the defense as well. You're hoping just to see a well-rounded effort, really productive, creating turnovers, making big plays, really make it hard for Virginia. Just to Corey Couch on the carry there by Wayne, and it just feels like Virginia's just in one of those transition years. They got Gianna back and Tavares Kelly, South Florida product, but they just have a lot of guys looking to replace those seniors, and it just sometimes can take time, especially if the quarterback play is not up to par. It makes the transition even a little bit more difficult. I think that's where Virginia's at. And certainly everybody respects the coaching that Rocco Mendenhall has done at Virginia, known as a defensive coach, but obviously very successful at BYU as well. And Manny Diaz mentioned, Broncos defense and those kind of things that they're going to have to be aware of. And certainly you'd hate to disregard a team that won the Coastal last year, just because they're used to the winning and that kind of thing, these guys. But once again, just a lot of different players on this team and key roles. There's Restrepo there. Back at punt returner. I think Miami's going to stick with Restrepo at punt returner for now. And I think the big thing at kick returner is if Mark Pope's not able to get those explosive plays out they're looking for. And the number that they really like is that 30-yard return. So keep an eye on that. And he has had one this year, but if he starts to fade in that category, not able to get those 30-yard returns, look for a guy like Jalen Knight, and it seems like Jalen Knight would be the next man up. And then Don Chaney Jr. as well. Going back to Miami on offense. King with another handoff, and that's a fumble. It's disappointing. And it looked like it wasn't on the exchange there. I like how they ran Harley in motion. Potentially for a jet sweep type play, but here it kept it and fumbled it. And I think with the wide receivers, kind of just talking about them a little bit, I think the biggest thing is, just making sure that they're efficient when they get the ball in their hands. Making plays, avoiding drops, and those kind of things. But definitely they got to create separation. I think you guys see that. I think that's the biggest thing that you're noticing. When De'Eric does make those throws, there's not a lot of guys, with a lot of separation, but that's part of it. That's part of playing against good competition. And when there's not that much separation, you've got to go ahead and still find a way to come down with the catch. So we'll see. I think there's a lot that's been made of it. I think they need to find some production at the receiver position. They're certainly going to continue to give looks. I think Keyshawn Smith is certainly in that mix as a young guy that they like. The flashes that he's shown, you see it with the speed, challenging balls deep downfield, and I think they like that. So they're going to continue to give him opportunities. If Michael Redding III is definitely healthy and not dealing with anything, I think he's definitely going to be in the mix as well. But I think of all the guys at the receiver position, if you're looking for someone to step up, not just with those three guys at the top, but I think it's been a little surprising that Jeremiah Payton's not gotten off to the start that what I would have expected because of his abilities. Certainly missed a couple games there and just hasn't been able to get into the rhythm, get into a mix that you would like to have seen through the first 5 games. And he's someone to just keep an eye on, though. It wouldn't surprise me if he has a game where he's got 3, 4, 5 catches as a relative unknown to the opposing teams.
So that'll back him up 5.
Still third down.
A little upset there on the Virginia's showing some frustration. The third down. I decided, with Armstrong at quarterback here, I'd give you guys a look at him. And if there's Virginia fans in here as well, shout out to you guys for jumping on. But I want to give a look at Lendell Stone in the second quarter, just to kind of mix it up in case Virginia goes with Stone full-time or sprinkles him in. I thought that'd be good just to let you guys see what he's all about.
Who am I to say this, but I'm not sure he made the right
Armstrong, you
decision.
see her right there. He's not, accuracy is certainly an issue for him, and he's got the interceptions piling up, but so I think that's the thing to look for, just the interceptions and the incompletions when he's on the field.
And his kick is good. Didn't hit it all that well, but
Delaney gets one to bounce in off the crossbar. So 3-3 here in the first quarter.
At 3-3.
Shout out to everybody that's joining us and that continues to show support of the channel and these simulations. Hope you guys enjoy this. Once again, it's just, it's a good to get a look at maybe what some of the matchups might be actually in the real game, but also just it's a way to talk about the upcoming game. Whether it's depth chart or injuries or certain things to watch for in the game. And you see 4 back there. I decided to put Jalen Knighton back there.
This will be fielded at the 6.
Because I do feel that his opportunity is coming soon. And I do think Knighton and Chaney, if you're looking for a couple guys, even Cameron Harris, they're 23, just to get things going again in the running game. They had done so well early in the season.
Could you sense the relief, though?
And just kind of getting back to that, I think, would certainly help out the offense. And going into this game, I find it interesting. Miami is 7th in the conference in total offense and 7th in the conference in total defense. A little bit higher on those marks on scoring, but total offense, which is yards per game, gives you an idea at their production levels. And I think if you're Miami, you definitely are going, and it's one game at a time and the whole thing, but I think that it would do a lot for their team if they have one of those really good games where they play well on both sides of the ball against a team that's struggling. Once again, 1-3, lost the last 3 games for Virginia. Virginia had the good season last year, and they were ranked, and Miami knocked them off last year. So you got to figure Miami's got some confidence in this matchup.
On the draw, it's Harris. And they get to him after a gain of 6 to the 46.
One of the things maybe you're looking at with the offense, and a lot of criticism with the wide receivers for not producing. The running game has slowed a little bit. Derek's been off a little bit at times too, but I think a lot of it also comes back to the offensive line. Struggled mightily last season, showed signs of improvement early in the season this year. And you'd hate for them to revert back to their struggles on both issues with not being able to run the ball and protect the quarterback. That's what happened last year as they ranked towards the bottom in the rushing offense. I think that if they were not last, they were certainly towards the bottom. And then obviously they gave up the most sacks. So we'll see how this goes. Miami on the move again inside the 30.
Now a first down carry for Harris.
And if the game is close like this early, this is when you want to see Miami strike and really create some separation between the two teams. You don't want a team like Virginia to get into sort of rhythm as the underdog. And then you don't want another, essentially a third game in a row to be a frustrating game.
2nd and 6. It's brought in by Harris.
It's a nice pass and catch there. Cam Harris on the receiving end. I see Jared Williams right there, number 62. He's another injured guy to watch for. Didn't play last week, dealing with a hand injury. Manny said he practiced some this week. So we'll see if he's going to be able to go. And if not, look for Zion Nelson to start at right tackle once again. Solid first quarter from Miami, picking up yards.
All tied after 1.
So here we go, back for the second quarter. You see Harley Pope out there. Will Mallory's in the game. D. Wiggins, ball on the 11. Looking for maybe either a couple runs or maybe going to look for a pass into the end zone right here. Got some space to work with.
Here's King operating from the gun. This will be caught at about the 5.
You saw just a little hitch right there when Derek got it. Something he's been doing really well during the season is acting like he's going to run the ball and then stopping and throwing it. And I think that goes to it's something he's worked on his whole career, but particularly in the offseason, you saw it quite a bit in those training videos that were posted on the channel. It's his footwork.
2nd and 3.
So there's a nice catch. Will Mallory catches a touchdown. Not surprised, because when he's in there as the lead tight end, he has been productive. Had the 2 touchdowns last week, and you see him right here with the touchdown. Interesting enough, Brevin and Will Mallory each have 3 touchdowns on the season to lead the team. And then the wide receivers as a whole have only accounted for 3 total touchdowns. Okay, so that is not what you want to see. I don't know what happened there, but Borregales had no shot at getting that kick off. John Campbell gets his hands on the ball. I don't know if that was him, but so they block an extra point. So maybe watch for that. I don't know if we'll see that in the game. Obviously, it doesn't happen very often. But I think also with Miami's offense, finding ways to get guys productive games in this one is important. I feel like there is an opportunity to do so. And I just don't expect Miami's offense to struggle, to continue to struggle. I think they're going to get back to being one of those really solid offenses that can do both with rushing and passing. But we'll see, because it's all about those results.
The Texas offense set to take over again. It's been an awfully slow start for them. This is their third possession. They don't have a first down yet.
Teams,
so here we go.
Tempo, usually moving it to more up-tempo type of an offense, just to try and change their fortunes right now.
So on defense here,
so far isn't working.
Again, look at Lindell Stone, the Virginia quarterback, 36, a rare number at quarterback, obviously, the number 36. He's 6 foot 240. A little bit more of a runner, obviously. Just provides that interesting element.
Because one of the keys to advancing the ball downfield, success on first down.
And the one thing that Manny said, last week they weren't sure about what quarterback they're going to face, but they expected the same system, whereas Virginia runs different systems with their quarterbacks because each quarterback's got the different playing style. There's Stone. Okay, first pass intercepted by Bubba Bolden. That would be great to see. Bubba's having a very good year. I don't think there's any question about that. He's a guy that's arguably been their best defensive player. I know coming into the season, Quincy Roche was his conference player of the year last year, and he had a really good game last week. His best game as a Hurricane. But I think as a whole, Bubba Bolden's been their best defensive player. And I think many people would agree. He already has 2 ACC Defensive Back of the Week awards, and I expect him to continue to produce.
Frankly, that's what they expect out of it.
And as the season goes on, I'm very curious to see about his NFL draft prospects, his abilities there. And I'll have something on the website about that as well, because I think some people are very interested in kind of the future of these guys. Everybody gets an extra year of eligibility, but certainly there'll be some decisions to be made. I think Bubba's going to be in on that. Oh my goodness, so De'Aaron King, did he get in? I think, so he's down at the 28-yard run. That's crazy. If that were to happen, if De'Aaron gets loose like that, there's no doubt that he's going to dive for that pylon or try to get in there. I do not expect him to pull off a feet first slide at the 1-yard line, but protecting himself there. So that's good for Miami. Racking up the total yards here. Down to the 1, so they go 4 receivers. They got Mallory out wide as a big target. Okay, so Harley. They called touchdown. It looked like Harley's just standing out of bounds. How's this going to count? Okay, that's not even close. They got to replay that, right?
They weren't expecting that.
And that totally goes against type, doesn't it? When you think first and goal from the 1, you're thinking
it's a nice throw, and Harley found himself open. Okay, so they're lining up for an extra point here. So I guess that's going to count. No instant replay. We'll definitely take that in the game. So that Miami gets a little bit of a break there, but they were down at the 1. Even if it's incomplete, you got to figure they'd punch it in. Stone on the interception. It proves to be costly. Bubba Bolden with it, and De'Aaron King gets another big run, having a really big running day. So definitely look for that tomorrow, although they've got some linebackers back from a year ago. Noah Taylor, Zane Zandier, Charles Snowden, even Matt Gamma's back. So they do have guys that are back. Defensive line also, Richard Burney, Mandy Alonso. So they've got some guys back in the secondary as well.
The kickoff unit is out on the field, and
And certainly they're going to have to be respected as a unit.
About a yard deep. And he'll be brought down at the 23.
But even if you're facing tough competition, I just feel like you just don't want to get in. I really think this game is so pivotal for the rest of the season, because if it's understandable of how you played against Clemson, you take that as a one-game deal. You get the win against Pittsburgh. But there were some things that, it wasn't a clean game, but you do get the 12-point win, so you're happy about that and move on. But I think moving on for that second half of the year, I just feel like if they don't have that productive game and this one against Virginia, I think it's going to start to, you're really going to have to look at some of these things as being issues moving forward. Because eventually, and maybe it has already happened, but eventually you are what your numbers say you are, or you are what you put yourself out there as. How many games is enough for a sample size?
And this is incomplete. By the way,
Man, this guy's throwing accuracy has to be really low. That was another terrible throw. And you saw the discrepancy in total yards. And while you expect Virginia to pick up some yards, if they cannot throw the ball, I'd be very surprised if they're going to have a productive offense. Whether it's Stone or Armstrong. Teams that become one-dimensional typically have not given Miami a lot of troubles. It's the teams that can do a little bit of both, or really get things going. They've given up 100-yard receivers. They've given up 100-yard rushers. In the games where teams are able to run and pass at a really good efficiency, those are the times where Miami struggles. So if Virginia's not able to get a passing game going, I just would have a hard time believing that they're going to be able to put up enough points to stay in the game.
46 on his first kick, this one in that neighborhood as well.
There's Restrepo again.
Give him 11 yards that time on
11-yard return, and that's the thing Jonathan Patke, special teams coordinators, talked about with the goals for punt returning, is they want to get that first down. So essentially a 10-yard return on a punt return. So that's the number that they look for there, if you're looking for, if you're curious about how they evaluate that position. So look for that. So the 30-yard kick return and the 10-yard punt return are the goals. They really want to create explosive plays.
So here's a 1st and 10 at the 38.
And they also said, Patke also mentioned that they feel confident that they have other guys to go with, particularly at kick returner. And I just don't expect them to be really patient at kick returner because of those other options. And also, I think if Knighton and Chaney, and I felt like they should be the kick returners, particularly Knighton, all season long. I think Keyshawn Smith would be good at it as well. But I believe in giving guys a role, and I think that's a way to give Jalen Knighton the ball more. If you're not able to get him the ball enough as a reserve running back. And sometimes the game just doesn't work out the way you like in terms of carries for those backup running backs.
I'd like to keep carrying it, thank you.
Whether the game's close or situations or you don't run enough plays, sometimes you run out of opportunities for those backups.
From the gun on 3rd down, King finding Harris over the middle.
So De'Aaron King is 10 for 10 on the day, 2 touchdown passes. They're going to have to punt here.
Really good defensive effort. They were all over that little swing pass out to the right side.
But doing well, he got the touchdown pass to Will Mallory to start it off, and then to Mike Harley. And then that extra point was blocked. But up 16-3. We're going to stick with Stone at quarterback for Virginia.
Now comes the Cowboys punter.
And Brennan was named the starter to begin the season, if you guys are curious about maybe which way coach might be leaning. But once again, his interceptions are starting to pile up a little bit. Hasn't been as efficient.
There again Here's the running back as he trots
So
on
there's
the
Stone
field.
right there.
And for him, it's been pretty limited involvement down on the scoreboard.
And you see
Maybe
21,
time
that's
to turn
Wayne.
to
That's a
this
running
guy.
back. He's
And you know me well. Winning games
going to be
me
their main
means starting with
back
the
in
running
this game
and continuing to press the running game. Maybe you
to
go away
watch
from him
for.
a little bit now, but the bottom line is he hasn't touched it enough to make a difference.
Well, they haven't established
And
that
Miami's
running
done.
game yet. The
I
question
think they
is,
also
will
have to do better at defending the run. You know, I feel like, you know, you say this about every single aspect of the game. That's why I feel like this game is so important. I think that
Off the play
this is an opportunity to shut down the run. You know, they've given up some 100-yard
Caught here by Griffin.
backs already this year. I feel like
He's gonna get 7
they
out of
definitely
this
shouldn't
before
allow
they
100
take it
yards to
down at
Wayne
the
here.
27.
So
They got to
much
keep
goes
him
into
under control. You
successful
know that
play, doesn't it?
Virginia
How about
wants
that
to run the
play
ball
action there, freezing the defense just
a little bit
enough
more. They
to bring
probably
the
feel a
tight
little
end
bit more
free downfield
reliable
for the
there
completion.
than what's been going on in the passing
Operating
game.
from the 27 now. Here's 2nd and 3.
And Jana's back for them too at receiver. Not sure if I mentioned him earlier, but Kelly
Looking to throw.
and Jana there.
Caught
But
by Nelson. That one a first down
you know, they've got
pickup
Grant
of
Mish at
8.
tight end, so they've got a few guys back from a year ago, but not, they weren't their lead guys that you're used to seeing rack up a lot of yards.
This quarterback now just 2 of 5 since coming on, but he does have a first down here. They'll run it now out of the gun.
Offensive
And he will
line.
lose yardage back to the 34-yard line. That's going to go as a loss of 1 on first down.
I saw John Ford there, and then Gervin Hall in on the tackle, number 26.
Yeah, right there at the line of scrimmage because they're dominating.
I think it'd be good to see Gervin Hall get off to have a good game. Bubba Bolden's been playing well. And I know there's a lot of criticism with Amari Carter, maybe his play with those 3 safeties. I think the big thing with Amari is just has to, you know, the big thing, his biggest attribute is being a good tackler. So when there's opportunities, he definitely can't miss on tackles. And then also, with the way Bubba's been playing, you'd hate for Amari to be taking away playing time from Bubba. But for the most part, Bubba's been playing quite a bit.
I think the converse has been true in this game.
I think you're right. They seem to have gone off 10.
And they've talked about it each and every week, it seems like, where they just feel like Miami staff just definitely feels like they got 3 safeties, 3 starting safeties. And I think Blake Baker was the one that said it this week. He feels like all 3 of these safeties would start anywhere in the country, and that you can argue it or not, and that's fine. But it just shows you by him saying that he feels that strongly about all 3 of his guys.
Got to him before he ever had a chance.
That was a nice
to
play
think
by
about
Gervin.
turning it upfield.
Kind of thinking about Miami's defense, I think there's a lot of excitement for Jared Harrison Hunt, defensive tackle. He's the guy that, you know, he's still getting used to playing football. Really, he was a basketball player. It's been well documented. And he's a redshirt freshman. Didn't play a lot last year, and now he's starting to already show signs. And I think that's why people are really excited about him. You just feel like everything you've seen flashes and his good play. You feel like there's a lot still that can go up. You feel like there's a lot of upside there. Coaches are definitely excited about him. I think they like the role that he's in right now as a young player, where he can come in on that second unit, play alongside Jordan Miller, who's got a lot more size, and where he can play off of him. And if there's some attention on Jordan, where Jared can free up and make plays. That's the first incompletion of the day for Derek King. You guys would take that all day in the game if he goes in it late in the second quarter without an incompletion.
He was perfect throwing the ball to that point.
Yeah, but from his viewpoint,
and the more I'm watching this game and the more I'm talking about it and seeing different things, the more excitement I have for this game. And really, it's because of all these things.
Back to the air on 2nd down.
I feel like it's just a really important game, regardless if you look at Virginia as a team that hasn't done well and you're thinking it should be an easy win for Miami, and maybe it doesn't have that excitement as, you know, Florida State or the Clemson game or even the opener against UAB. You know, at the time Louisville was ranked, so that there's been some hype with those other games, and I understand it. I just feel like this one's such a crucial game, and I'm definitely excited to see what's going to happen. Sitting here and watching this and talking about it and wondering what might happen and talking about what should happen and the whole thing, but I just feel like there's so many different areas that need to play well in this game.
Muscling free near the 40, and he slips up past the 45 before being
And
tackled.
I'm also a big believer in a football season, sports in general, but particularly football, with the amount of games on the schedule. I just think that there's ups and downs in the season. I just don't think every game is as clean as you want it to be. I think for whatever reason or different reasons, the results might not exactly be exactly what you're hoping for, and I get it. That's why I think games like this are so important for that bounce back performance, because
To throw is King. Throwing on first down.
you don't want
Stepping up,
to
and they'll work this down to the
you don't want
40-yard
issues to
line.
become
Tackle
trends.
there.
You
Good
don't want,
coverage downfield
if you're
right
not able to
now,
run the
taking
ball
up-
for,
picking up the
let's say, or
first down
whatever
on
it might be, if you're giving up
13-yard
passing yards, you don't want to start to be 3-4 games in a row. You don't want this trend to continue. Not just because you're not being productive and it can hurt your team's performance, but also other teams see this, and if that becomes a scouting report on you with weaknesses, teams will really attack that. I think that's one of the reasons of being why it's important to be balanced and well-rounded and productive, not just for that particular game. It makes winning easier when you're more balanced, but also because for future opponents. So if you saw there, De'Aaron King's over 90 yards rushing on the day. I think that would be great to see. Mixing in an efficient passing game.
Back to throw. King.
And I guess if I were to pick one area, if I can only pick one area that I'd like to see the improvement, the most important thing, once again, a lot of attention on the wide receivers. Maybe you want to see a little bit better play from certain defensive units. Maybe it's linebacker.
From the red zone now, they'll look to throw. And this is caught.
Maybe you're concerned about the offensive line. I think if I were to pick one area, one position group that I would like to see a big performance by, it's got to be the quarterback position. And it's not that De'Aaron's not been bad or disappointed or anything like that. I just think there's a potential for him to do even better. And I think this might be a game that he could do that. Have one of those big games. Nice throw over the middle. There we go. Mike Harley. That was definitely in the end zone there. There's no question about that. Mike Harley with the celebration on his second touchdown catch of the game. Definitely no question about that one. That's good to see. See Mike working in the slot, working over the middle. That's where they like to use Mike the most. I think he's a guy that they could slide outside if they wanted to a little bit more than they do right now. I think he has the potential to make plays. I think the big thing too with Mike and even Mark Pope in the similar, the guys are celebrating in front of the camera. You gotta love that. But I think getting those guys on slants or drag routes from one side of the field to the other, I think that would be great opportunities if they can protect enough. If De'Aaron can stay in the pocket or roll out enough, or maybe he even rolls out to his right and they drag from left to right. But just getting those guys on the move, Harley and Pope, I think that would help them a lot and get their acceleration up. And then once they get the ball, they can just keep going with their speed. I think that might be an opportunity to use them a little bit more with their speed on those crossing routes, drag routes, get them going, as opposed to relying on them winning one-on-one battles against corners. And maybe you will see that adjustment, because at some point, if they're not able to create that separation, you can't just keep forcing that to change if they're just not capable of doing that.
To the 26-yard line.
Obviously a big first half for Miami here, 23-3, final minute.
Getting ready to begin their next drive. And you're under a minute to go in the half. A first
We're
half
switching
that
this
hasn't
thing
been
back.
particularly kind to you. How do you think
Lindell
they'll play
Stone
this?
really struggled. Got to give it back to Brendan Armstrong.
And see if you can come up with a strategy to play better in the second, but there's also something to challenging your offense right here. You know, hey guys,
And Virginia actually has two other quarterbacks on the depth chart as well, Armstead and Thompson, with good size. And you'll know when they come into the game wearing 98, 99. So I definitely think that's interesting. There's Jalen. I thought Jalen was going to miss that opportunity, but he doesn't. He gets that second sack of the game. Jalen really doing a good job. And this one, I think Jalen's got bigger performance to come. I think the multi-sack game is coming as well. And 63 is there struggling. For anybody on that offensive line, on the ends, or at the tackle position, whether it's Ryan Nelson or Ryan Swoboda, maybe Jalen can take advantage of that matchup. Two guys with really good size, particularly Swoboda. You'll see him at 72, listed at 6'10", 325, playing that right tackle position. It's Quincy Roche finishing it off there. Great first half by Miami. This is exactly what you'd want to see in the game. 23-3. There's no doubt who the best team in this game has been. You see it right there. Miami really racking up the total yards. Virginia really struggling, losing yards on sacks and not able to get much going. And then D'Eriq right here really helping out the running game with almost 100 yards in the first half. It's great to see.
All right, Coach, thank you, and we welcome everyone back for quarter
And these are the
number 3.
uniforms expected to be played. Virginia came out with the white jersey, white pants, with navy helmet. Miami's wearing orange, and they've asked fans to wear orange at the game for those that are going to be in attendance. And not many home games left already. There's 3 games left. Season is moving right along. And the big thing too with Miami, and definitely whether it's Virginia or just kind of moving ahead, Miami's in this race. There's 5 teams right now that have 1 loss or less. And the way it's shaping up, you figure those 5 teams should continue to contend for those spots, those top 2 spots at the top.
The Texas offense set to take over again
for the ACC championship game, because there's no division this year. So Clemson, essentially, you assume they're taking 1. Things would really have to fall apart for them not to have one of those spots. Looking extremely dominant. Obviously gave Miami a lot to think about after that game. But then that other group, Miami with the 1 loss right now, but now you're looking at Notre Dame, North Carolina, Virginia Tech in that mix. And NC State is looking to stay in there, although their starting quarterback is hurt. He's going to be out for a while. That's a big interception by Al Blades Jr. You love to see that if you're Miami. You hate to see that if you're Virginia. Go into halftime and you think about all the stuff that went wrong in the first half, and then Armstrong comes out and throws that duck. That's picked off by Blades. Really bad read there. And now not just with the interception, but goes ahead and returns it. So Miami's in prime position to really push this game forward and really put it out of reach. Another touchdown would be great to see if you're Miami here.
The Cowboys offense now.
So here we go. Great numbers for the first half for D'Eriq. 15-16, 147 and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and I think it was 92 rushing yards, something like that. So obviously a huge day for him. Really efficient and making big plays. And I think even against that Pittsburgh game, even though he's struggling a little bit, you see him throw 4 touchdown passes. So he just has a knack for making plays. And he actually said it this week. He felt like with the passing game and the deep throws in particular, and Miami's actually in that bottom half in the ACC in 10-yard passes and 20-yard passes.
Second and goal from inside the 5.
And tied for second and 30-yard passes, I think. But he thinks big plays are coming pretty soon, is what his quote was. So there we go. Cameron Harris into the end zone. Great to see you there. Harris has been slowed a little bit in the running game last couple of weeks. Once again, another player, another position group that would like to have a productive game after a couple tough ones. And if you guys have seen Cameron, essentially from game one, against UAB. He's really been dealing with injuries each game, minor injuries. He's played in all 5 games, but he came out of the games early the first couple weeks, and just kind of see him ailing a little bit. So you would like for him to have one of those productive games once again. Where things are going really well for him. And I think the big thing with him is just obviously getting those positive runs, and a lot has been made too by the coaching staff of trying to get more production on first and second downs, obviously because they don't want the 3rd and long situation, which no team wants to have because it makes things more difficult. But I know that will be a point of emphasis, and if that's a point of emphasis, maybe they do go back to that UAB game and look at that in the sense where they really just pounded the run. So if they want to get more production on those first 2 downs, maybe they're going to play it a little bit more conservatively, and maybe they're going to run it a lot more on those downs, particularly on first down. I think that's going to be a thing I'll be watching during the game, is how many times they run the ball on first down, because like I said, even if they're able to get 2 or 3 yards on first down, it can make things a lot easier by the time you get to 3rd down. So just think it's something to watch for. See Brennan here. Really struggling on opportunities. They're not able to hold the ball. I got Armstrong back in there. And I'll just leave him in for the second half.
In their head. And what I mean by that is just what you said. You've gone over the changes.
Because Stone was terrible and throwing the ball, and
not too emotional.
Brennan gives him a better chance maybe. Obviously the total yards are getting out of hand here.
Just being calm hasn't exactly worked. They need any spark.
And obviously you're not expecting this kind of discrepancy with yards, but certainly the way Virginia's been playing, you definitely have to be a little concerned if you're Virginia that you're just in a tough spot with losing the 3 games in a row, giving up some points, unable to get things going on in the passing game, and things are kind of getting away from you a little bit against a Miami team who has shown the ability to put points on the board and be productive in the running and passing game. So we'll see. We'll see how they do. Looking at a few guys here. There's number 3, Gilbert Frierson. I know many of you are excited about Gilbert this year. Just play at that striker position, giving Miami's defense that mix between being able to defend the pass and the guy physical enough to be in there on tackles. So Jalen Phillips, his 3rd sack of the game. That would be huge. If this is any indication of his production for tomorrow, this is great to see. 3 sacks in a game. He certainly has that ability. And he's been pretty good for Miami this year. And it is so tough with how you evaluate defensive ends with finishing plays, and sometimes you can finish more plays, sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but all in all, you still want that production. And Jalen certainly will be eyeing those big plays, and he's already shown that he is capable of making some.
So possession goes over here on the punt, and that will come the offense as they take over.
Maybe if you guys are here right now, you guys are obviously diehard fans, so drop in the comments if there are some freshmen you're really excited about. I bring that up because Restrepo there on the punt return once again. If there's freshmen on the team you're really excited about, whether they're playing a lot or maybe not as much, but either way, definitely drop in the comments right now. I definitely like to see those. See those opinions and curious who you're excited about. Like I said, whether they play or not, maybe it's a guy that's not playing at all, like Isaiah Walker Jr. or even Avante Williams. You guys are excited about their futures, or maybe even Tyler Van Dyke at quarterback.
Everyone's got to be able to catch the football. Doesn't matter what position you play.
Miami's certainly pleased with his development. The biggest thing that keeps coming out with the way Rhett Lashley speaks about Van Dyke, and it's been this way for a few months now, but just really likes the way he's working and taking in information and learning. And I think that's the biggest thing that he can do right now. So look, delay a game right there. Jared Williams
and that moves him back 5.
Still second down.
Trying to console De'Eric there. Also, anytime you guys want to drop in on the comments on jerseys, jersey combinations or things like that that you like, I always like seeing what you guys think about either things you see or maybe would like to see with the jersey combinations with Miami on the field. Like I said, they're going orange, and that's why I decided to go orange here.
And he's got his man on the out route. And he takes us beyond the 35 before going out of bounds. Without the previous penalty, that would have been a first down. Instead, it's just a gain of 10.
Big pass play there. So 3rd and 2, that's good. Able to pick up some yards.
King on 3rd and 2. Firing quickly here, and that's complete.
It's a nice catch by D. Wiggins. That's what you like to see from him. Nice catch over the middle. One of the things I mentioned on the stream about just the wide receiver discussion on Monday there. One of the things I said was with those 3 guys, with Pope, Wiggins, and Harley as the top guys, and I think it's a mix of both, and I still feel this way, where they do have positive signs. They are able to make plays. There are things to like about all 3. I think on the flip side, all 3 certainly, I think that they do have their limitations. I think that it's a little bit of both going on right now. While I think they can be a little bit more productive than they are right now, I still think that they're limited in certain with their abilities. So I think sometimes what happens is there's a lot of expectations placed on guys.
Do you actually lose sight of some of the smaller running backs? And all of them confirmed that can be a problem.
Whether they have those abilities or not. So, like I said, certainly they can be better than they've been. I just think that if you're expecting one of these guys to really have a monster here, I think that was a little bit far-fetched. And we'll see that once again, it's another opportunity for them to shine and do well. And guys like Michael Redding, mentioned Keyshawn Smith, Jeremiah Payton, Restrepo, even Daz Worsham, maybe he gets in there. Marshall Few as well. And I think the biggest thing was, depending on who starts, that'll be based on how they practice this week, was my understanding. The way Manny was talking about the situation, and based on how they play during the game will determine their playing time throughout the game. I always find it interesting when coaches admit that they are opening things up more, and if guys are able to take advantage, and maybe it's an opportunity for particularly as young guys that maybe they're going to get more playing time moving forward. That's how it usually works with younger players or reserves, where you get an opportunity and you take advantage of it, and you keep doing well, and then all of a sudden you've elevated yourself on the depth chart. Good catch by Pope, a nice little cut and move right there. So 3rd and 1 here. 6 catches for Pope. And Rhett Lashley really praised Pope last week for a solid performance, so maybe there's more coming from Pope. Bunch receivers to the left, shotgun, 3rd and 1. A lot of options. Could run it with King or Harris. So we got rollout left. That's a really nice play. Oh, Pope. Man, Pope's fumble rating has to be really high on this game. Man, I think that was just a straight fumble. I don't even think he was close to being down. Yeah, he just ripped it right out there. I think that's the thing with De'Eric. I'd like to see a little bit more of his throws on the run. I think even design throws on the run would be good, because I just don't think the offensive line is going to give him all the protection that he needs to really stay in there all the time. So I think rolling him out, I think like you saw right there, rolling to his left, it's a little bit tricky of a pass for a right-handed thrower, but I think he's got really good footwork and can make it happen. Like I said, those drag routes across, opening things up a little bit more, could really help Miami's offense. Their passing game just might be something to watch for moving forward.
That's complete to Butler. And he'll get it up to the 12-yard line here. 5 yards on
nice tackle by Jennings, and Jennings and McLeod at linebacker certainly looking to remain in lead roles there. Coaches just keep really mentioning and really praising Corey Flagg, a freshman in particular. They like what Sam Brooks has been able to do as well.
They'll run it now out of the gun. And he'll be a couple yards shy of the 20 at the 18. 6 yards the pick.
I think Flagg's the one that's interesting just because they just the way they talk about him, the way Manny talks about him, they really like his production, what he's able to do there in the middle. They really like his work ethic coming from a premier program, high-level program at North Shore there in Texas. So it's just one to keep an eye on because the coaches seem to really like him. It's a nice run by Armstrong. Got to give him credit for that. His agility there was definitely good to see. He had that nice move. And then Gervin Hall with that. How late was this tackle?
That type of pressure, oftentimes what do you resort to? Your legs try and escape. What you hope is that this doesn't become habit for him. That he learns
Hall
how to handle
finishes
the
off
pressure,
that play
still keep
5
his
yards
eyes
out of bounds.
downfield and make some throws.
Certainly got to keep an eye on those Miami defensive backs.
Line of scrimmage, the 37 on 1st and 10.
Particularly with Hall and Carter, and then Keontra Smith, the striker. All three of those guys have dealt with
Now a handoff here to his
targeting suspensions this year. Okay.
And they're able to swarm him behind the line, and his rough night continues. Give him 9 on the
Nice play there. So DJ Ivey in on the play. Haven't talked much about him. Corey Couch had the good game against Pittsburgh with the 3 batted passes. Once again, another young guy looking to build on his momentum from a productive game. I think that's the biggest thing with young players is having a game like that is great. You just got to build on it and keep it going. Keep it going and also move forward with your play. Like have even bigger plays this week.
They want to run the football, but that means they probably want to run it into
their timeouts. That'll leave them with 2 remaining.
So here we go, 3rd and 6.
These guys have punted 4 times already, and they're staring at a 5th, barring a conversion here.
So what I want to do here is, okay, so 3rd down. We're going to go with N'Kosi Perry in the 4th quarter. Derek King's had that good day. It's a 30-3 lead. Game is out of hand. And on these simulations, we've not gotten a look at N'Kosi Perry. So I'd like to get him in there. And for the Tyler Van Dyke fans out there, I've got something coming for you guys as well. So you got to stay tuned. You got to stay locked into the channel for sure. If you haven't yet, and you're this deep into the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Also, what helps too is if you hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss anything like a live stream or anything like that, because the live streams that I've been doing have been very inconsistent in terms of when I do them. Basically, if I've got something I've been working on or like to talk about, or if something pops up from practices or press conferences, I'd like to go ahead and give you guys the information. So having that notifications on certainly helps as well. So here we go, 4th quarter. And if there's other topics that we haven't gotten to here that interest you about this game, definitely do that in the comments below, because I always read the comments. I always appreciate your positive support. Oh my goodness. Al Blades Jr. with his 2nd interception in the game. Wow. That was a tough play by Al. And Armstrong's all over the place with his passes, but man, Al made a really good catch on that. There's Tavares Kelly. Think about Tavares, one of their lead guys, and you kind of see it here. Maybe that's the issue. Just not a lot of size there.
Here's the Dallas offense now heading back out onto the field. Well, this ball game certainly has gotten a little out of hand. This is normally when they say you got to fill. This is
just a 5'8" receiver there. And I think what you've seen from Al this year is just kind of providing a consistent season. And then obviously right here you're seeing it with a couple big plays, and maybe you'll see a big play against the Cavaliers in the game.
Offense, defense,
So here we go. We got N'Kosi Perry in
they
there.
put it all together. And I gotta tell you, I am beyond impressed by what I've seen from this team.
Cameron Harris.
Just a yard on the pickup there, and it'll bring up a second.
Not a
and
huge
9.
day from Cam. Had the
They
touchdown.
want to keep this clock rolling, so they'll take that one right there. They just want to keep falling forward, and they won't put the onus on the big fellas.
But
up
I do
front
think
in
that
order to bring this
running the
one.
ball will be a point of emphasis. You see the balance there. I always like seeing that. So 17 rushing attempts, 23 passing attempts. Really close to that 50-50
Here's
split,
another carry for Harris. And he works his way forward for about 4.
which is about what they've been doing. It's been pretty close.
On any running play that's called, they're
Depending
always
on the
hoping it's
game.
going to break big and go the distance. But when you get a nice gain like that, you're able to do so many things anyway. You can come back and run essentially the same play again, continue to move the ball on the ground.
Just looking at the offensive line, touched on it earlier with Jared Williams at right tackle. Zion Nelson starts last week.
This is Harris on the
Zion has
draw.
also started the game this year at left
And he's
tackle
got the first down
in
yardage
place of
before
Campbell,
he's
so
brought down at the
they're able to move
42.
Nelson around a little bit,
Medium, they opted to run instead of pass, and it
whereas the
worked.
three guys in the interior have stayed the
This is an
same.
example of breaking down a defense, because on a lot of these runs, he's getting
Typically,
past
Corey
the
Gaynor
point
at
of
center,
attack.
he's started all
That's what
5
he's doing.
games, and that right guard
Forces
DJ
secondary
Scaife has
guys to have to make
started
a lot
all
of
5 there,
tackles.
and then Ja'Kai Clark has started the last 4 games at left guard. I do think some of you are curious about what the other offensive linemen on the team have. I think Cleveland Reed's a guy that people are interested in, wondering about his abilities and if he can be a productive player,
On first down.
a reliable
It's
lineman.
Harris. And that one blown up quickly, as he's going to be stopped before he can even
Jalen
get
Rivers is a
started.
freshman
That's gonna
people are
wind up
excited
a
about
loss
as
of
well.
a full
So I
3
think just
yards
kind of
on
keeping your
first
eye on
down.
those guys if they do get
Brandon, it's clearly a
opportunities.
running situation when you're up in the fourth quarter. They're gonna have
And
to
if you
stack
haven't
the
seen
box
it
and make
yet,
difficult
be sure
for
to
them
check
move
out the
ball.
channel for
Made
the
it very
mic'd up
difficult right there. Now they need to repeat that effort.
offensive line
Yeah,
coach
bring
Garen
7, 8,
Justice in
9,
practice.
whatever it's gonna take to slow 'em down.
Video is on the channel. It's provided by Miami Athletics. Shout out to them for providing the content and giving us a look inside what's going on with the coaches. I think the mic'd up things that people do is always interesting, whatever level of football you're watching.
On second down.
So definitely check that out. So here we go, just kind of staying with the run.
Pick up there. So from 2nd and 13, they're back to a more manageable 3rd and 8.
Frustrating for
I think N'Kosi Perry, you see him here, but I think it's an interesting situation with him and his career. If De'Aaron does move on, I do expect De'Aaron to move on past this year.
Cowboys on 3rd down.
But
2
although,
for 5
and
at
I
this
say that
point.
because I expect
This
many
is
of the
3rd
seniors to
and
move
8.
on, and regardless if it's an extra year of eligibility,
And now a first chance for the
I just kind of
backup
feel
here
like
in
a
front.
lot of these guys,
He's got his man out of the
if I were to
backfield.
group
That's
them, a lot of
complete.
them have been around
And he can only
quite a
manage
bit,
to
whether
take
it's their
the
5th
football
year, and I
to
think
the
asking them to
40,
come
and
back
that
for
is
their
well
6th year
shy of the first down
seems
mark.
like a lot.
Whether you're playing West Coast
But we'll see.
offense or not, one of
I know when I was talking to Jim
maxims of the
Larinaga
West Coast
about the
offense is
basketball team,
you're
because
either
they've also
throwing
been
a
granted an
touchdown
extra year,
or a check down. In other
and they have
words,
5
look for the
seniors
big
on
shot, but
scholarship.
be smart. I think they did
And I asked
exactly
Tim
that
how he
on
thinks
that
that it
play.
will
They get the
affect his
first
team, and
down,
he
but
thinks,
they're taking care of
he
the
said he's
ball
had
well.
conversations with his
being
seniors, and they've all
rightly
indicated
cautious with that
they
lead here in the
intend to
second
leave,
half.
or he doesn't expect them back. Just
So
want to
coming
pursue a
on now
pro
is the
career, and it's
field
not
goal
necessarily the
unit. They're
NBA
gonna
or anything
try
like
for
that. They don't have
3,
these
and he'll
surefire
need all
first-round
the
picks or
leg he's
anything
got
like that,
here.
but just
They'll
guys want to
start it
move
at the
on, basically,
47,
from
so
college,
call it
and
a
he mentioned
57-yard
guys.
attempt. And this
Is that good? Oh my goodness. Borregales from 57 yards. You've seen it before, so that's not a surprise, but he goes ahead and gets that. Adding insult to injury right here.
And you know in this league,
Barely
you never
clears
have
it, but he
enough
gets that
room. This winds it out,
57-yarder.
as you
But
said, and now it's all
I just
about
think
ball
guys
control.
that have been in college for a while, they just kind of eventually decide to move on. So anyways, I think if King does leave, I think N'Kosi Perry's in an interesting situation with his career. If he'll go ahead and get that starting spot, or will Miami bring in another transfer quarterback eligible to play immediately, or is a guy like Tyler Van Dyke ready to take over the program?
Out is the kickoff unit as they run up and send this one away.
Everything that Manny's talked about with N'Kosi, he's really praised him for really being showing more maturity and understanding things better.
The offense for the Longhorns getting ready to
Really
begin their
a
next
far
drive.
look
And
ahead, but I would
following the
expect
interception,
N'Kosi to
just
get that
any interception,
nod
are you a little bit more cautious when you
next
start
year.
that next drive, or no, you just throw that out the window?
For those curious about Tate Martell, Tate is officially still on the roster. Well, I take that back. When a player opts out, Miami's decided to remove them from the roster. But Tate has not made any public announcement that he is transferring, so he did opt out along with two other players, two other linemen at Miami. Offensive linemen have opted out, and then Greg Rousseau opted out but to enter the NFL draft.
He's going to be dropped following a pickup of 7 past the 30 to the 32. One thing I think that's safe to say defensively, the tackling's been really good.
And because of that, it's been very, very hard for them to move the ball because you're not getting the benefits of run after catch.
So yeah, overall a really good performance by Miami in this simulation. Great to see. Some of these have not gone this way. UVA really struggling in the passing game.
Armstrong. And a quick throw here, that's complete.
Not able to get much going.
Won't be enough to pick up the first. A gain of 2, 3rd and 1.
Brandon, perfect defense in this
I do think it
would have meant that there was an incompletion.
You know, maybe keep an eye on
so they gave up the completion.
Some play action stuff for Virginia.
Watching how the defense stayed in sync.
Maybe get guys out on the move a little bit. Maybe some short passes. Try to become efficient with their passing game. Maybe that's what they're going to try to do.
Defense was thinking run, and their delta pass of just
and then obviously look right there, 85, that's Grant Mish. That's a tight end, so definitely keep an eye on him. That was a good throw right there. Obviously too late in this game, but maybe you see that earlier in the game, get him involved. Maybe that helps out Armstrong or Stone or whatever quarterback they have in there at the time.
This quarterback now perfect since the second half started. 7 of 7. It's 1st and 10. From the gun, Armstrong on the move to his left. And he's got
a nice open field tackle by Takori Couch. Armstrong running once again. Definitely been much better here.
First down.
As a rookie quarterback, that's exactly
kind of too late in the game, down 30.
Give it up for the cause. It's also how you end up on the training table too.
Yeah, it's a catch-22. Coach doesn't like it. Teammates love it. Where do you fall on it?
Well, I fall on wanting to endear yourself to your teammates, but pick your spots. Be smart about it. They need you for the full season.
Yeah, the rookie's going to learn as he goes. Ball up to the 35 now as they come up on 1st and 10. Looking to throw. Armstrong.
Another good play by Gervin Hall right there. He's having a really good game.
Well, this is how
Been impressed with him.
That interception on the last drive. You come out and start this one 4 for 4.
Some open field tackles. He's kind of right there, not chasing a lot. He's kind of within the vicinity of the play. Like I said, I think Gervin's been solid. I think he's a guy that could be, could make bigger plays. And I think what's interesting with Bolden, I think you saw it with the interception in this game. There's Svoboda right there. 6'10" right tackle. But I think with Bolden, just kind of watching to see if he gets his hands on a little bit more balls. More active in the against the pass. And I think that's something that I expected to see from him, because watching him in practice, I do see that ability. Whether it's interceptions or pass breakups, but definitely think that would be something to watch for with Bubba. Armstrong there. Completed some passes, but not a lot downfield, not a lot to work with. Jana and Kelly just haven't been able to get past the Miami defense.
The offense on 3rd down tonight, it's been a problem. Just 1 for 7 thus far. This will be 3rd and 15.
Basically just with Virginia, not only their quarterback situation. Is that another interception? Al Blades Jr., 3 interceptions. Oh my goodness. Out here looking like Kenny Phillips. Al Blades with another big play. Really Armstrong's really been challenging him.
But there's a lot of knowledge to be gleaned every time you throw an interception.
And the biggest thing with Blades is just really going up and getting the ball, high pointing the ball, one-on-one situations. Mentioned Kelly just doesn't have that size at 5'8". Blades at 6'1", and just able to track it down. That's an incredible play. Definitely hard for corners to make that play, but certainly would like to see that. 2:18 left, just winding down here. Miami with a big performance. Once again, a huge shout out to everybody that's showed their support watching this, and hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. It's a huge help. Appreciate everybody for doing that. And also checking out the website. Plenty of content and stuff on the team, articles and things like that. So definitely check out the website.
A good pickup there, 8 yards on the first down completion.
And jump in on the message boards during the game. We always have a great discussion during the game about what's going on. Looks like Miami's just going to run the ball a little bit here. Jalen Knighton get a carry.
Bring him down at the 27-yard line. 9 yards to pick up there, and it's a first down.
Second and 2 is prime time for a little bit of a gamble, isn't it? Open up the playbook.
Jalen Knighton
Toss that bad boy deep.
getting a late opportunity to get the ball.
Give it to your back. Let him pick up a first down. Keep the sticks moving.
I think one of the things you saw, maybe some of you guys watched that whole game last week, you saw Robert Burns get in there. He's our number 4 back after Knighton and Chaney, and then obviously with Cam as the lead back, and so
not totally home free yet, but it's looking good as they come up 1st and 10.
Just another guy getting opportunities when the game gets out of hand here, or the win is secure.
A solid run on first down.
So it's turned into a solid day for Cam. Nothing big, but he goes over 60 yards.
Straight ahead positive gain. Just keep that clock ticking.
Maybe it'd be something to build on. I think too, the thing with Cam is just that ability to break off big runs. You'd like to see him, get one of those 20, 30-yard runs.
They'll keep it on the ground. Harris again.
A couple of those. His ability right there. You're seeing it right here. The ability to go up the middle.
11 yards and
Has a good burst at the line of scrimmage. Able to get through some arm tackles. Has good vision. Then also has that ability to get outside a little bit and make plays there. This might be it. 21 seconds left.
So after 2 first downs, they get another here.
Cody's out there calling plays. I like it. Is he going to hike it? Okay, so Miami on that 33-3 win. Dominant on both sides of the ball. All kinds of areas doing well. Passing offense, rushing offense. De'Aaron King with the big day. De'Aaron with that player of the game. Only 1 incompletion. Goes over 90 yards rushing. Celebrating with the guys there. Second quarter was the big one. That's what you like to see. You like to see a team that's favored to go ahead and separate themselves early in the game. Essentially remove all doubt and then stay solid. I think that was good. You give up the field goal, and then that's it. Also, right now, I didn't ask earlier, but drop your predictions. Let me know your predictions of the game, score predictions. Drop in the comments below. It would be great to see that as well. Turnovers are a big thing. Bubble with the interception. Al Blaze with 3 interceptions. He did a good job on the back end. Jalen Phillips with 3 sacks. So a lot of positives with this game. This is exactly what you'd like to see in terms of a lot of guys playing well. So hopefully we see that in the game. Just want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for subscribing. You can follow me on Twitter at InsideTheU and check out all of your information on the Miami Hurricanes at InsideTheU.com. Thanks again and take care.